What's up, everybody? Anthony Online Tech here, and I finally finished Pokemon Legends Arceus. I finally have the review here, ready to go for you guys. But before I get into my opinions, my thoughts on the game, before I do my actual review, I'm going to do things a little differently today. I have a special guest with me today. Someone who, like me, has also played these games from the beginning, from the Kanto, Johto, Hoenn era. And he wanted to share his thoughts on Pokemon Legends Arceus. So here he is, ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, the film Cubano, Chris Langsdorf.
Yo! Film Cubano here, my first official collab with Anthony Online Tech. It's an honor, sir. An absolute honor. Pokemon Legends Arceus is probably the most fun that I've ever had playing a Pokemon game. I don't want to take up too much time from Anthony's review of the game, so I'm just going to list one thing that I absolutely love Arceus has done, and maybe one complaint, although I gotta be honest, I don't really have that many negatives about the game. But here we go. As someone who's played every single mainline Pokemon game, all the way back to the original Red, Blue, Yellow, I played some of the other lesser known ones like Gale of Darkness and Pokemon Coliseum. I absolutely love all of the quality of life changes that Game Freak has made to the game. Now, I know that might come as a surprise because there are a lot of really cool things about Legends Arceus. So to pick quality of life changes as my favorite might seem a little bit weird, but stick with me. I think Game Freak has absolutely refined so many things that over the years have really needed to be worked on. The attack animations in this game look fantastic. I love that they have also removed one of the mechanics I hated for every single game there was, trade evolutions. Trade evolutions suck. I know there was like a friendship thing they were trying to promote, like trading with your friends. Screw all that stuff, alright? You pay for the game, you want to be able to get all the Pokemon that you want to use. And they finally fixed that. Is adding a link cable item into the game kind of a weird item to have instead of an evolution stone? Sure. But bottom line is, it fixes the problem. I really appreciate that. They also rebalanced XP candies, which in Sword and Shield were absolutely broken. I think I had like a level 50 Rillaboom before I even faced the first gym, because I did a few raid battles and you get so many XP candies. It completely screws up the balancing and leveling of the entire game, and it made the game way too easy. And they rebalanced them in this game. I really appreciate that. You can buy them. Occasionally one gets dropped by an alpha Pokemon. Not 10, not 20, like some of those crazy raid battles. So you really do have to manage who you want to use it on, when you want to use it. I appreciate that. They also shifted the damage sliders for every move all the way up. I have had my party get completely wiped by, like, I faced a Ghastly, and it just absolutely mopped the floor with like full evolution Pokemon that were way stronger, 15, 20 levels above it. I actually really like that. I think it adds a lot to the game. You finally have to sort of think a little bit when you play Pokemon, which I know some people are super traditional. They don't want any of that. I liked it. I like that there's more strategy in this game. I like that your Pokemon faint a lot more. You could go through most Pokemon games without ever losing a single Pokemon ever, except for like when you faced Whitney's Miltank. But otherwise, usually didn't happen. So I like that this game is harder. I mean, this is probably, aside from Pokemon Coliseum and Gale of Darkness, it's probably the hardest Pokemon game I've ever played. Certainly the hardest one made by Game Freak. Yeah, I think that damage slider stuff that they did, great job. So least favorite is sort of a tie. One of the things I do understand, actually both things I understand. My first complaint really is how the item bag is handled in this game. They don't give you a lot of item slots, and there are a ton of items in Legends Arceus that you're going to be picking up after you win battles, or just from going through trying to get materials for crafting in the game. You run out of space really quickly. You can get space added, but it gets really expensive, and you're only ever adding one space. So no matter what, it might cost you 500 for one space. It might cost you 25,000. I think I heard that it can go all the way up to $80,000 in game for one additional item space, which I think is kind of insane. I don't mind like the survival aspect of a game like this. It reminds me of Last of Us, where you really had to be keeping track of what was in your inventory at all times. It's just that there are so many items in Legends Arceus, and so many that you probably will never use at all throughout the entire game, that it can get a little bit annoying to be out, you're exploring the region and you're finding alpha Pokemon and you're battling and all that, and then you get told a million times that your bag is full. Then you go into your bag, you have to try to figure out what to throw away, or you're going to go back to the place where you can deposit items and then go back to where you were. It can kind of kill the momentum, so not crazy about that, but I understand why. The other thing is that there's a lot to do in Legends Arceus, and I think that's great, but there are a lot of side missions. And at first, I was enjoying the side missions, but over time, I'm going to be honest, I've started to just kind of ignore them because they're not that important, and I think maybe there'll be good post-game stuff to just kind of pop the game in and have something to do once you beat the story. But the side missions don't matter that much, aside from as you do them, you'll see Jubilife Village start to actually get built, and there will be more things happening, and that's really cool. But there are like 50-something side missions already. Like that's so many. And like I'm like halfway through the game, and I've stopped doing them. And I might go back to do a few here and there, like if I just want to break from the story. But like, you can already explore and play the game however you want, which is great. Oh, there's a lot to do, which I like from the standpoint that some past Pokemon games haven't had enough, and Game Freak's never done side missions ever. So I think from that perspective, for a first attempt, this is good, but there are so many, and they get a little repetitive, and a lot of the times, either the reward isn't worth it, or it's just not worth it in general. Like, it's not a very fun side mission, and it kind of just makes you not want to do them and ignore them, and they sort of just become annoying. So that is my one negative, or my two negatives, but overall, I absolutely love Pokemon Legends Arceus. I hope that we get a ton of Pokemon games like this, and I gotta be honest, I feel like for better or for worse, this is one of those games that in 10 years, people are gonna come back to, because they're gonna be saying, wow, you remember Legends Arceus? They let us do all this crazy stuff. I hope that it does not become a past thing. I hope this doesn't just become like a Legend game that is like banished and Game Freak completely 180s and goes back to gyms and all that stuff, because I think they made a lot of right decisions with this game. I'm having a blast playing it. Highly recommend you pick it up, because this is one of the best Pokemon games ever made. Back to you, Anthony.
Thank you, Film Cubano, for your thoughts on the game, your opinions, how you felt about the game. Chris does have a channel focused on reviews of movies and TV shows, so if you're into that sort of thing, check out his channel, link in the description below. Now on to my thoughts, and this is a long one. I don't know if I said that already, but this is a long video. And it's weird that I'm saying that now after 8 minutes in by now, roughly. But adding on to what Chris said, one of the things that I do like about this game is the quality of life changes. One of them in particular is the new controls for the game. For example, in battle, going to your items is as simple as pressing down on the D-pad and that's it, or up, whichever the corresponding button is. Choosing the next Pokemon in your party is the opposite button, so whichever one is up, the other one is down. And if you want to battle, just press A. If you want to run away, you press B to get ready to run away. But also, if you press the X button, you switch between different items you can throw. Primarily, it'll be Pokeballs in battle. And pressing X will switch it into the party that you're carrying with you. So instead of having to go to Pokemon and then choose the Pokemon you want, you can just press X to go to your Pokemon, press L and R to switch between the Pokemons, and then press ZR to summon that Pokemon, or ZR to throw that Pokeball. And that's pretty awesome. Now, when you're in the wild, same thing applies. You press X to go between your items that you can use in the wild and the Pokemon you want to battle. I can't remember if it was IGN or GameSpot's review that hated the controls and had a problem with it. It sounded like that person never played a Pokemon game in their life, because it's very intuitive, it's much more simpler, and I really do love it. Now, another thing that Chris mentioned was items that allow your Pokemon to evolve. without needing to trade. Now, in the past, you would have to have a Pokemon hold, for example, a Metal Coat. Scyther would have to hold a Metal Coat to become Scizor. Now you can just give him the Metal Coat and he will evolve into a Scizor. The Link Cable is primarily used to evolve Graveler into Golem and Kadabra into Alakazam. And the Link Cable for me was nostalgia. You know, we had to use the Link Cable back in the day to trade Pokemon. We didn't have wireless trading back then. It would have been funny if they also had the light attachment for the Game Boys in the game somewhere. Those were pretty funny because you didn't get much light on your screen and it drained the hell out of your battery. Because back then we didn't have backlit screens. We had to buy a light and plug it in. Going on from there, the animation in the game, the Pokemon design is incredible. You know, Pokemons are doing a bit more actions. They look a lot better. But the only problem I had with that is the Pokemon won't follow you around in the sense that when you're in the wild and a Pokemon wants to battle you, it will follow you for a bit. But when you summon one of your Pokemons into the field, it won't follow you. As you walk away, it'll eventually go back into the Pokeball. This is something we've seen as a feature in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. We saw it in the wild area for Sun and Moon. It's in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. But it was even in Pokemon Yellow way back in the day. So I don't know why they took that feature out. It would have been really cool to have that here. But going on from there, in terms of more positives for the game, the story is pretty damn good. Now, they do talk a bit more about dying and death in this game, so it's not your typical Pokemon game. But the story has been one of the best Pokemon stories I've ever played. Basically comparable to Black and White. Now, I don't want to give away too much in the story, but basically the basic points of the story is you travel to the Hisui region in the ancient past, through a time rift in the sky, or space-time rift in the sky, and you're recruited by the Galaxy Expedition team to not only solve this mystery, but to help the professor create the very first Pokédex. You do get some help from members of the Diamond and Pearl clan. These are two rival clans who believe that the creator of the universe, Lord Sinnoh, I believe they called him. They each have their own beliefs. One believes he controlled time, hence being the Diamond Clan. One believing he controlled space, hence being the Pearl Clan. And some of these characters are memorable, such as the two leaders, Adamon and Arita. The other characters, some are memorable, some aren't. So that's pretty much the basics of the story. I don't want to give away too much, but in this game you do have different characters who are wardens, and these wardens each have an area that they watch over, and they basically watch over a guardian Pokemon. One example being from the trailer is Cleaver. And like I said, some of these wardens some of these characters are memorable, some aren't memorable. Some characters actually do have a bit of a twist in their personality, and it's not an obvious twist for most of them. Some of them are pretty surprising, so that's pretty great there. Now, going on from there, one of the problems I had with this game was, and it's especially present during the very beginning and closer towards the end. There's a lot of talking in this game, and there's no voice acting in this game, so you have a lot of reading to do. Now, reading puts me to sleep, and it was a bit of a struggle to get through the very beginning of the game, getting through the tutorials, as they put it. But once you get past it, it does open up more and does get a bit more relaxed in terms of that. But you still have various story points that do have a lot of talking, and I think by now we should be getting voice acting in these Pokemon games. Other than that, in terms of bugs and glitches, I've had one hard crash, and I've had one bug where the attacks for the Pokemon in battle was taking like 10 or 15 seconds to actually animate. So they would just sit there for a bit and then do the attack. That's about it. Of course, you're gonna see some texture pop-ins. Not as I don't know if it's better than the wild area texture pop-ins from Sword and Shield, or if it's comparable, but you do see it there. Graphics are what you expect from a Pokemon game on Switch. A little bit off topic here, and I've said this before, the Switch does use outdated technology. If you don't know, the Pro Controller uses a 3DS battery to power it up. So it's cool that they're reusing their old, items to, power up the future for them, but it's old tech. Even Capcom themselves have pleaded with Nintendo to make a newer Switch that's compatible with 4 gigs of RAM developer kits so they can develop bigger and better games. And Nintendo said no. They said they don't want to do it. But going back on topic, I would have loved to see a complete open world environment, but you don't get that here. You get more of the Monster Hunter style. But these maps are expansive. They are pretty big, so no need to worry too much about that. Eventually, you will see the same spots over and over again. Eventually, you will get sick of these spots, but there's a good number of them already, and they're all filled with Pokemon for you to capture, so you're okay there. Now, each of these areas do have a boss battle, which is connected to the Wardens. But when you defeat these bosses, you're going to want to come back to these locations later on when you have more Pokemon you can ride on back of, such as Weirdeer and Basculegion from the trailers, and Braviary, so you can fly to new places, because these Pokemon will allow you to reach new areas that you couldn't reach before. As for Braviary, I say fly around very casually, because you're not really flying. You're more so gliding across the map, but it's a really good glide. You do get some good distance with the glide, depending on your momentum and how high up you are. So it's not that bad, but I was hoping to see flying around. Now, in terms of these Pokemon that you can ride, Basculegion is the only one that allows you to throw items while you're on its back. When you're on Weirdeer, you can't throw Pokeballs or berries. When you're on the back of Braviary, you can't. Or riding Braviary, you can't. And the problem with that was you have to dismount Weirdeer to do certain things and then go summon him again. And with Braviary, there are some Pokemons flying up in the sky, and in order to reach them, you do have to use a special Pokeball to do it, and you're gonna miss a lot. So I did wish that you can use items with these other mounts like you could with Basculegion. Now with Basculegion, he does go in slow motion when you are ready to throw an item, so that was pretty cool to see them do that. There's also very minor details in the game, like when weather changes, your character's clothes will get wet, they will get covered in snow. There's a certain area that's covered in has areas of mud, and your shoes will get dirty, and Weirdeer's legs will turn brown from the mud. So that's really awesome that they included that in the game. Now, I didn't like the fact that you couldn't travel from one area to the next. You have to go from the area back to the village and then leave the village to choose a new area to go to. But these areas do have fast travel from very early on in the game, so you don't have to worry about having to unlock a certain Pokemon or a certain point in the game to get fast travel. Even in the village, as small as the village is, you have fast travel through various points in the village. As for these areas, they are basically the wild areas of Sword and Shield, but on steroids. There's more Pokemons in the wild, and there's more things hidden within these areas. Now, as I said, you do have these boss battles, and some were memorable, some weren't. But it was a new idea, and I did welcome it. There was one boss battle in particular that really had me at the edge of my seat, even off my seat. Just a very amazing boss battle. I won't say what it is. You will know what it is when you see it for yourself. That's all I'm going to say about that. Now, another thing to keep in mind, a very important thing to keep in mind, this game is very grindy. You're not challenging for gym badges. Instead, you earn stars for completing various milestones in your Pokédex data research. These stars act as a rank. Each time you gain a new rank, Pokémons up to a certain level will obey you. You can craft new items such as different versions of Pokeballs, Pokeball, Great Ball, Ultra Ball. There's a new set of heavy ones that don't get a lot of distance in terms of throwing, but if you hit a Pokemon in the back with it, you do have a higher catch rate, and you have a set of feather balls that will be able to be thrown further and higher up, which is how I mentioned earlier, catching these Pokemon that are flying around. That's the kind of ball that you would need, as well as crafting Super Potion, Max Potion, etc., that type of thing with these ranks. Now, the reason why I say it's a grind is because to get these ranks, you have to complete data in the Pokédex. Now, to complete one Pokemon's full data, for example, you want to complete Magikarp's data, you roughly, it's mostly the same for the Pokemon, but some things are different. You would roughly have to capture 20 Magikarp, defeat 20 Magikarp, see Magikarp use a move like 20 times. Some of them is capture how, X number of them sleeping, X number of them without them noticing you. Now, a very minor potential spoiler here, because we all know the title is Arceus, so the point is to capture Arceus, right? Minor potential spoiler here. In the beginning of the game, it tells you, basically to meet Arceus, you have to find every Pokemon. Now, I don't think this means you have to complete the entire Pokédex entry of every single Pokemon. I hope I'm right, because if you have to complete every single entry, number one, it's going to be almost impossible, because some of these entries, 2 of these entries are the 2 starters you don't choose. So how are you going to catch 20 of the starter you don't choose? You know what I'm saying? So there, I don't think that's what's required, but if you do want to complete a full section, that would just give you more points. So you can get more ranks higher and higher. I do have a rank where every Pokemon, no matter what level, will obey me. And I think I have roughly 2 more ranks to achieve. I don't know what they will give me for doing that, so I gotta wait and see what happens. But like I said, that's pretty much where the grind is, where you have to do all these different data things for Pokemon. Now the game does have its moments where it's challenging. Some of the fights can destroy you, some of them may not. But it's not your typical easy Pokemon game where a gym leader has the same types. You just gotta find the advantage and beat them all with one Pokemon. There are easy moments and there are challenging moments. You do have some trainer battles, not too much in there. I was hoping for a bit more, and it does go back to the traditional, the first Pokemon in your party will battle first, but wild battles, you can just choose the Pokemon you want to summon first, and you will get to summon that into battle. Going on further to what Chris said about the item limit, yes, the item limit sucks, and you have to pay for new slots to be added. I believe the first slot was like under 1,000, maybe like a couple hundred or so. And then each new slot is added even higher and higher, and it sucks because you run out of space like that, because you may not be focused on crafting items. You may want to save up on a lot of berries. You may find items that are really rare, and you can't grab it because your bag is full, so you have to discard something or use something. Crafting is in the game. You craft Pokeballs and different items. And I didn't know this at first, but you can actually buy crafting material at some point in the game. I spent a lot of time running around trying to find crafting items. Had no idea I could just buy them and just make the items in bulk. So keep that in mind. There is a lot of side quests in the game. There is a lot. I think for my file, in the village alone, there's maybe 15 side quests waiting for me to accept. And I still have like another 10 on the side that I already accepted. And I don't know how many more gets opened throughout the areas as you accept and complete different side quests. So there is a lot. Some of them are not very rewarding, but some of them are. And going on to that, roughly 2 of the side quests are your collectible items to find in the game. Most open world games have collectibles for you to find. And one of them, I was really hoping to be very, very rewarding, and it kind of wasn't. It was kind of a letdown. The other one, you kind of have to do it to complete the Pokédex. I won't say anything else about that. But going on to that, with the side quest and the main quest, I put roughly 56 hours in the game before the credits rolled. 56 hours. I never done that for a Pokemon game at completion. I usually try to breeze through a Pokemon game and then do all the capturing at the end. I don't know why, I just do it. And apparently there's at least another 10 to 15 hours left after the credits for me to do, more things to do, more mysteries to discover. Now, another potential spoiler, minor spoiler here, no detail whatsoever, just more so of my feelings towards the end of the game. I was a bit disappointed with the events before the credits roll. A lot of it was like a roller coaster. A lot of it was going up and really exciting and, just waiting to see what will happen, and then you have those low moments where you're just like, oh, okay, I kind of wish this and that. And there was something that was done here that I don't like it, but I see why they did it. And I'm not going to say anything about that. That's all. I'm just going to leave it at that. Like I said, there is more to do at the end of the game. And I'm not yet there. I'm kind of stalling a bit before I do all that stuff. And like I said, basically to meet Arceus, gotta catch them all. Now I had fun hunting down these alpha Pokemon. It's these new Pokemons in the game that are bigger and stronger, and they are in the wild with these bright red eyes. Some of them can destroy your team, and some of them are a bit easier to capture. So it was fun to build a team of just alpha Pokemon. I would compare the size of a normal Machamp to an alpha Machamp, and it's just hilarious. As for the starter Pokemon, in my opinion, they all sucked. I chose Rowlet because I actually liked the Decidueye, and I kind of forgot how weak he is in terms of stats. I don't really care for Oshawott and Cyndaquil. And I think with this game, being the style of sneaking around and trying to use stealth, and your character's default uniform does have like a long scarf, why wasn't Greninja in the game as a starter choice? Like, your character kind of looks like Greninja with the blue outfit and the scarf thing. So I think Greninja would have been an awesome choice for a starter Pokemon in this game, but it wasn't, so it is what it is. Now, when it comes to the battle mechanics, there are the new features of strong style and agile style. And I didn't know this at first, but when you choose strong and agile, your moves will use 2 power points, or whatever they call it, the PPs, 2 instead of 1. And it was promised in a sense that using agile could potentially give you 2 attacks in a turn. I found that to be true about 40% of the time. I think it's based also on Pokemon speed, but I've also had fights where none of the Pokemon, whether it be mine or an opposing Pokemon, would use any style, and the opposing Pokemon would attack me 3 times in a row. Don't know how it happened, don't know why it was a thing. So that's what I really hated about the battle mechanics. I actually didn't really like the strong style and agile style. The only positive I got from the agile style is to help you keep a wild Pokemon alive that you want to capture at a lower health. Status conditions are different. They do disappear when you end a battle, but there's no sleeping. It's more of drowsiness, so you don't fall asleep. You just may miss an attack here or there. There's no frozen. It's more of a frostbite. I believe you take some damage, I think. And in the burn one, you do take damage. Paralysis, I believe it's almost the same in terms of like you may miss an attack, but it's not as bad as heavy as the previous games. So you can't make a Pokemon frozen where they can't attack. You can't put them to sleep. And you can also take status conditions on your character in the wild, and doing that will prevent you from using certain items and summoning your rideable Pokemon to escape the battle. So keep that in mind. And there is fall damage. Your character can take fall damage and black out and lose items. Now, going a bit more into the battle system of the game, you could have battles where you are against up to as many as 4 Pokemon at a time. And as far as I can see, there is no move that can hit all Pokemons at once, like Earthquake and Surf. They don't exist. You have to attack 1 Pokemon at a time. And you could potentially be forced to wait 5 or 6 attacks before you can attack again. But you can still escape those battles. So that's just something to bear in mind when you're struggling with these battle mechanics. The one positive as well is in battle, you don't lose a turn if you switch out Pokemon. And I think you won't lose a turn if you use a health item, I think. But you definitely will lose a turn for fact when you try to use a Pokeball or something and fail to capture. As I may have said earlier, there isn't a lot of trainer battles. I wish there was trainer battles, more of it, because you can earn money in the game by completing Pokédex entries, but you sometimes need to buy items that you can't afford. EXP candies are expensive, and I wish there was more trainer battles that you can just battle for money, but there really isn't. Going forward from there, you can summon your Pokemon into the wild to like hang out with. They'll have some kind of interaction with you, very minor, but they won't follow you around. And I wish that they would. After you go a certain distance, they will go back in the Pokeball. You can put 2 Pokemon together to interact with each other, and that's kind of cool. But considering that Pokemon following you was in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, the DLC for Sword and Shield, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and even back in Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon would follow you, Pikachu. So I kind of wish that they could do that, but you can't do that. Another thing in terms of what's cool about this game in terms of animations and graphics and all that is when you're battling in the water, a Pokemon that can't fly would be on a floating platform, but a Pokemon like Decidueye who has wings will fly in the air for battle, so that's pretty cool. Like I said before, graphics are what you expect from a Switch game, a Pokemon Switch game. Music is pretty good, but it does change constantly depending on what you're doing and where you're at. And they removed Pikachu's voice. We had Pikachu saying his name going back to Pokemon X and Y, and they removed it for this game. I don't know why, so that kind of sucks. Throughout the game, you will find a, I believe it's a distortion in space and time. Basically, these little areas that when they spawn, you can find rare items and powerful Pokemon to battle. This is where you will primarily see the 4v1 battles. And as for rare Pokemon, I've primarily seen stronger EVs, and I've found one shiny in there. So it's really based on luck and where the event happens. And you can find some rare items like Stardust and shards that you can sell, or even evolution stones that you can find in there. So that's pretty cool. Another big thing is they removed online battling. That kind of sucks. You can't battle your friends. You can trade with your friends, but you can't battle. And because of the items in the game that let you evolve Pokemon, you don't really need to trade with friends. It almost makes it seem like they should have just, if they're going to remove battling, just remove online trading. There's no exclusive Pokemon because there's only one game. It's just Legends Arceus. There's no exclusive Pokemon. And if you're asking about obtaining the other starter Pokemon from breeding, no daycare, no Ditto, no breeding. And to add to that aspect, you don't really need to breed. Pretty much every Pokemon in the game is available through one way or another. And as for the no Ditto, that's if you believe the theory that Dittos were the failed attempts of cloning Mew into Mewtwo before they got it right. Pretty cool theory. And going on to theories, with this whole story behind the game, there is a lot of theories from Pokemon in terms of the creation of the world of Pokemon with Arceus and these different legendaries. They kind of do a bit to prove these stories, and it shows that they're trying to do a much bigger lore for Pokemon in terms of the games, rather than just you're a trainer, you battle 8 gyms, go to Pokemon League, win, catch them all. I think they want to do more for story, and this is a very story heavy game, and I really did like that aspect of the game. I think the story was phenomenal. Yes, there were some points that could have been better, and I really hope this isn't the end. I want to see more Legends game. Pokemon Legends Rayquaza, Pokemon Legends Kyurem, Pokemon Legends who was Ash's dad, because we still have no idea who he is. And I think at this point, after being about almost 60 hours in, I can maybe still put another 20 hours of content to get everything I need to get in the game. And that's it. There's so much more to discover, and this has been a very, very long review. But Pokemon Legends Arceus is hands down one of the best Pokemon games to ever exist, and it gets a 9 out of 10. I am Anthony Tech, and I'll see you guys next time.